Welcome to my film review of Hustlers. So this was a movie that was about strippers, or so it seems on the face of it. Now the reason why I wanted to go and see this movie is because I saw the trailer and I remember Jennifer Lopez's character referring to the Wall Street bankers as scum and thieves and crooks. And to be honest, that is the hymn sheet I sing off. You know, I'm disgusted at Wall Street and what happened in the 2008 crash. I've been obsessed ever since with movies like The Big Short and reading the books and finding out exactly how this system works and the criminal activity that goes on. So that was the fishhook for me that made me really want to watch this movie. And in truth, it didn't quite dig as deep into the Wall Street side of things as what I was maybe hoping for. It was probably more strippers than what I was, more stripper life than what I was hoping for. I was hoping for some more Wall Street life, but the two worlds blend. I still enjoyed the movie, but it maybe wasn't quite as what I was hoping for. But nevertheless, it was decent, and let me give you the rundown of the movie. So firstly, this was actually a very well told story. You know how this was a movie that had a story to tell. It is based on a New York magazine, so it is a true story, which is particularly interesting. So this is based on true events, and it was told very well. You know how movies like, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street, whatever, where they have a story to tell. It's a true story, and the way that the story unravels, you enjoy being taken on that journey. And that's very much how I felt watching this movie. The way in which the story unfolded was enjoyably. It was well told. My only criticism maybe would be that early on, maybe it was a little bit slow to start with. It was a little bit too much stripper life and camaraderie between the women, whereas I would have just been as happy for them to just get on with the movie, but that's fine. Probably slightly edged towards women, this movie, I'm not going to lie, rather than blokes. So therefore I will think that some of my criticisms as a bloke, a woman would have possibly enjoyed those parts a lot more than me. I'm not saying because of stripper life, but it was the comradeship, if that's the right word, between the women, and I'll get on to more of that towards the end of the movie as well, where for me personally I didn't feel it quite worked because it didn't speak to me, but we'll get to that at the end. But anyway, this is a summary of what the movie's about. If you like The Wolf of Wall Street, yeah, I mean, for me, one of the best movies ever. Loved that movie, fascinating. Well, The Wolf of Wall Street shows how Wall Street are scumbags and, make a load of money, and how in some scenes they spend it on strippers and hookers. Well, this movie is kind of the strippers and hookers, but not hookers, but strippers side of that exact same story. So it's quite good. I thought, yeah, this is like Wolf of Wall Street, but from the strippers' point of view. So I enjoyed them referencing the Wolf of Wall Street guys as crooks, and it shows how the strippers' wealth and how well they did with their work was very directly related to how well the Wall Street guys were doing in their line of work as well. So we obviously cover the period of time during the 2008 crash, and the movie is set both before, during and after the Wall Street crash, and you get to see the effect that it had from when the Wall Street guys, were making all this crazy insane money, and then what did they do with it? Well, they went to strip clubs on nights and just spent absolutely thousands and thousands, on strippers. And obviously when the crash happened in 2008, the Wall Street guys didn't have quite so much money anymore, and there wasn't so many guys making loads of money. So, how did that have an effect on the strip scene, the strippers' livelihoods? And what did they do about it? Well, what they did about it is exactly what this movie's about. The strippers got creative and tried to figure out how they could still get as much money as possible from these Wall Street guys. And that's the journey that the movie takes you on. So in that regard, it's really quite enjoyable. I really did enjoy how the story was told. It's funny at times, but it's definitely not a comedy. There's bits that are definitely making you chuckle, but on the whole, it was just, for me, it was the mirror reflection of what it was like for the strippers in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, for instance. And for me personally, I did enjoy that because I am quite obsessed with those kind of movies, The Big Short and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, my little thing that didn't work for me at the end was I noticed how the movie was clearly trying to talk about relationships, trust and friendships between the women involved in the movie. And this might sound horrible, but for me, kind of, they were trying to figure out where they stood with their loyalties, but to me, those kind of questions hadn't really crossed my mind, because I don't know, with me and my friends, I would have expected loyalty, whereas this might sound weird, but it seemed like the women, or at least certainly one particular woman in this, was expecting the opposite of loyalty. She was expecting that there wasn't any loyalty and there wasn't any real friendship. So the very end of the movie is trying to tie up those loose ends of, you know, what was the friendship level, you know, were they even properly friends, and, you know, were they out to stab each other in the back? And for me, like, that kind of stuff would have never crossed my mind. So in many ways it made me feel a little bit sad that those questions had to even be asked. But I don't know, maybe that's just the norm for those kind of scenarios, but I just wouldn't have expected it myself. I would have expected tight friendship and camaraderie, if that's the word, but you know what I'm trying to say. So there was that at the end, which didn't really work for me, because, you know, I didn't expect there not to be that trust in the first place. So what can I give this out of 10? This is around 7. I could maybe give it a 7.3 out of 10. Yeah, let's get a 7.3 out of 10. If it wasn't to do with Wall Street, you know, I might not have enjoyed it as much. There were parts, but not for long, but small little parts that were a little bit boring that I could have fast forwarded for me, that were, you know, not that interesting. But on the whole, it was a good movie, very well told story, and I did very much enjoy the subject matter, and I enjoyed seeing the women devise a plan of how to get the money from these Wall Street scumbags. So well done, you girls. And yeah, it's loosely based on a true story as well, which is also pretty cool. You can't beat watching a movie that is based on a true story. It's a bit of a history lesson, which is always nice. So I enjoyed this movie. Let me know what you think if you saw it, and are you obsessed with the financial crash as what I am? If not, did you enjoy it? If not, did you? Didn't you? Did you? Didn't you? Well, thanks for listening to this review anyway. I enjoyed the movie. I can't strongly recommend this for the cinema, not particularly. It's probably a really good, maybe a chick flicks, go with your mates, females, go into the movies together. But otherwise, for anybody else, I would be quite as happy just to wait until this comes out on the TV, you know, stream it, rent it, whatever, rather than paying to go to the cinema to see it. It's not entirely necessary, but I still enjoyed it nevertheless. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next review. Goodbye.